She's smiling, she's strong, she's got it all together, or so it seems. But behind that composed face is a woman silently screaming, carrying the weight of expectations no one ever talks about. The truth is, most men fall in love with her light and never notice her shadows. But if you really want to touch her soul, you have to see what she hides when no one's watching. Because the strongest women are often the ones who feel the most alone, trying to be everything for everyone, while secretly wondering if anyone will ever be enough for her. You want to understand women? Then forget everything the movies taught you. Forget the games, the pickup lines, the fake confidence. Real connection with a woman requires something deeper. It requires insight, awareness, and emotional intelligence. Today, I'm going to tell you 10 things most men don't know, not because women are trying to hide them, but because society never taught men to look for them. First hidden weakness, emotional inconsistency. Most women experience emotional ups and downs they don't always talk about, not because they're unstable, but because they've been conditioned to manage everyone else's emotions before their own. So if she suddenly withdraws, it doesn't always mean she's uninterested. Sometimes she just wants to be understood without having to explain herself. Second, her deep need for safety. I'm not talking about locking the doors at night. I'm talking about emotional safety. The ability to express, to cry, to vent, to be seen, without judgment. A woman might laugh at your jokes and be strong in public, but inside, she's scanning every interaction for one thing. Can I trust this man with my heart? Number 3, comparison anxiety. Women, even the most confident ones, compare themselves constantly to other women, to filtered images, to past versions of themselves. And when a man makes her feel like she's not measuring up, even unintentionally, it hits her harder than you think. She might not say it, but it stings. 4, the pressure to be everything. Be pretty but not vain, strong but not intimidating, sexual but not too sexual, smart but not bossy. That balancing act is exhausting, and sometimes she just wants you to say, "You don't have to be perfect with me. You're enough." 5th, unhealed trauma. Many women carry invisible wounds from childhood, past relationships, even from cultural expectations. Some of those wounds make her pull away when you get close. Some make her test your love. It's not manipulation, it's protection. 6, people pleasing. She's been trained to make everyone else comfortable. So even when she's hurt, she might smile. Even when she's angry, she might say, "It's okay." If a woman trusts you enough to say, "I'm not okay," listen. That's vulnerability. That's a gift. 7, overthinking. Her mind is a storm of details. The tone of your last message, the meaning behind your silence, the shift in your energy. Not because she's crazy, because she's emotionally wired to notice patterns. And when a pattern feels off, she worries. 8, her desire to feel chosen, not just loved, but prioritized. She doesn't want to be the afterthought. She wants to feel like the woman you chose, not because she was there, but because she was special. So don't just say you love her, show her she matters. 9, her fear of vulnerability being used against her. If she's ever opened up and had her truth thrown back at her, even once, she won't forget. So, when she shares her insecurities, don't joke. Don't weaponize, just hold space. And finally, number 10, her own self-doubt. Even the strongest woman battles inner voices telling her she's too much or not enough. Sometimes the most powerful thing a man can say is, "I see you, I hear you, and I believe in you." Because at the end of the day, what most women crave isn't a man who has it all figured out. It's a man who's willing to understand, who's patient enough to learn, who doesn't try to fix her but holds her, encourages her, challenges her with kindness. Most women experience emotional ups and downs they don't always talk about, not because they're unstable, but because they've learned to suppress parts of themselves to survive. Society often teaches women to manage their feelings quietly, to be agreeable, to not inconvenience anyone with their emotional needs. So what happens is, even when something is bothering her, she might not bring it up. She might smile, nod, keep the peace, and pretend like everything is fine. But underneath that calm exterior, there could be a storm of unspoken thoughts and feelings she's trying to process alone. And this isn't about manipulation or playing games. It's about survival. It's about not being called too emotional, too needy, or too much again. That label cuts deeper than men realize. So when she suddenly becomes distant, when her texts get shorter or her tone changes ever so slightly, it's often not because she doesn't care. It's because she's feeling things she doesn't yet know how to express, or she's afraid of being misunderstood. There's also a level of emotional layering that men rarely see. She could be angry about something small, but not because of that one moment. It could be the weight of several other things she's carried for days, weeks, or even years. That eye roll you got when you forgot something she mentioned, it's not just about what you forgot, it's about the pattern she feels is repeating. It's about the buildup, and because women are generally more emotionally aware and socially conditioned to pick up on small cues, they can internalize things without fully realizing how much it's affecting them. A slight shift in your attention, a change in tone, or even prolonged silence can speak volumes in her mind. Not because she's trying to be overly sensitive, but because she's wired to analyze, anticipate, and adapt. That emotional labor is constant. It's happening even when she's smiling at you. Another layer to her emotional inconsistency is hormonal influence. Most women experience monthly hormonal fluctuations that affect mood, energy, and sensitivity levels. This doesn't mean she's irrational or incapable of logic. It just means her body is literally changing how she feels day to day. And she's still expected to show up at work, be a good partner, look good, stay calm, and function like nothing is happening. That kind of pressure takes a toll. Some days she might feel incredibly confident and affectionate, and others she may just need space to breathe and reconnect with herself. It's not about pushing you away, it's about protecting her own peace. There's also the issue of emotional suppression. Many women have learned to shrink their needs in relationships to keep the man around. Maybe she was once told she was too emotional or too sensitive, and now she overcompensates by pretending she doesn't need as much as she really does. She may not tell you when something hurts, when she feels dismissed, or when she's longing for reassurance. She might swallow it, telling herself it's not a big deal, even though it feels like a very big deal. And the more she does this, the more she disconnects from her own truth. That emotional inconsistency isn't because she doesn't know what she wants, it's often because she's been taught to silence her wants, to second guess her feelings, to avoid coming off as too needy. What makes all of this more complicated is that women are also incredibly intuitive. They can feel your energy shift even if you haven't said a word. They notice when you become emotionally unavailable or distracted, and instead of confronting you directly, because again, they're avoiding being labeled, they might retreat, shut down, or start doubting themselves. That creates a loop where both people become distant without really knowing why. When it comes to a woman's need for safety, it's deeper than most people understand. It's not just about locks on doors or walking her to her car at night. It's about emotional safety, mental safety, spiritual safety. A woman wants to feel like she can be herself without fear of being judged, rejected, or shamed. She wants to know that if she shows you her softness, her doubts, her fears, you won't use them against her later. She wants to believe that you're not just there for her when she's smiling, dressed up, and in a good mood, but also when she's tired, overwhelmed, or vulnerable. Safety to a woman means that you don't mock her feelings, minimize her opinions, or make her question her worth. It means that when she speaks, you actually listen, not just with your ears, but with presence, with attention, with respect. There's an emotional armor many women wear, and they wear it well. They've learned to stay guarded because, in the past, opening up only led to disappointment. Maybe she trusted someone who told her, "I'll never hurt you," and they did. Maybe she finally cried in front of someone only to be told she was being dramatic. So now she hesitates. She scans for signs. She watches how you react when she's not at her best. That's how she determines if she's safe with you. Not just physically, but emotionally. Can she talk to you about something that matters without being shut down or dismissed? Can she tell you something sensitive and not have it thrown back at her in an argument? That's the kind of safety that builds deep trust, and without it, she may stay physically close but emotionally far. A woman also feels unsafe when there's emotional inconsistency. If one day you're loving and warm and the next you're cold and distant, she starts to feel like she's standing on shifting ground. Stability is what makes her heart open, and when your mood or your presence keeps changing without explanation, she doesn't feel grounded. She might not even say anything at first. She might just start pulling back slowly, waiting to see if you notice, waiting to see if you care. And if she feels like you don't, that silence becomes her protection, not because she wants distance, but because she needs to feel safe before she can come closer. She also needs to feel safe in how you handle her truth. If she tells you about something that hurt her, something from her past, something she's ashamed of, and you laugh, tease, or look at her differently, a wall goes up. And once that wall is up, it takes a long time to come down. Because now, in her mind, she's confirmed what she always feared, that even the person she trusted most doesn't fully accept her. Emotional safety means that you allow her to be human, messy, unfiltered. It means she doesn't have to be the perfect version of herself all the time just to be loved. It means she can cry in front of you without feeling embarrassed. She can admit when she's struggling without fearing that you'll think less of her. Even in the way you argue with her, safety matters. If you raise your voice, slam doors, or get passive-aggressive, she internalizes that as a threat, not because she's weak, but because she's sensitive to energy. Women are attuned to tone, body language, and patterns, and if your energy doesn't feel safe, even if you're not being violent, it still feels like danger to her nervous system. That's why how you respond when things go wrong is just as important as how you act when everything is good. A woman feels safe when she knows that even in conflict, you won't humiliate her, ignore her, or emotionally abandon her. Comparison is something most women don't talk about openly, but it lives in the background of almost every moment. Whether she's scrolling through social media, walking into a room full of other women, or even just catching a glance of herself in the mirror, there's a voice in her mind wondering if she's good enough. Not good enough in general, but good enough for you, for the world, for herself. She compares her body to what society calls beautiful, her achievements to what others celebrate, her life to what others post online. And even when she knows it's not real, even when she knows filters exist and people only show their highlights, it still gets to her. It still plants a seed of doubt. That doubt doesn't always look obvious. It might show up as her asking if she looks okay when she already looks stunning. It might come out in a joke about another woman, or a passive comment about aging, weight, or success. This comparison game isn't just about beauty either, it's about value. Women have been conditioned to believe their worth is tied to how desirable they are, how nurturing they are, how accommodating they can be. So when she feels like another woman is more of something, more attractive, more fit, more soft-spoken, more anything, she starts to feel less than, and that's a dangerous spiral. Not because she doesn't know her own strength, but because she's constantly bombarded with reminders that she's supposed to be everything. Be sexy but modest. Be ambitious but not intimidating. Be confident but humble. Be independent but not too independent. It's exhausting. And in that exhaustion, she starts to compare herself to other women who seem to be doing it better. What makes this more painful is when a man she loves or admires adds fuel to that fire, even unintentionally. A lingering look at another woman, a careless compliment about someone else's appearance, a conversation where she feels invisible. These things don't just pass over her, they sit with her. They replay in her mind long after you've forgotten them. You might have just made a casual comment, but to her it echoed something she already battles inside. That's why affirmation matters. Not just flattery, but genuine recognition. Telling her she's beautiful when she's not all dressed up. Valuing her opinion, her insight, her presence, not just her looks. Because the more a woman feels truly seen, the less she compares herself to what she's not. There's also the way women compare themselves to their own past. She remembers who she used to be, maybe more carefree, more confident, more optimistic, and wonders if she's lost something. Maybe motherhood changed her body. Maybe work stress hardened her softness. Maybe heartbreak made her guarded. And now she looks at herself and feels like she's missing the glow she once had. This internal comparison can make her withdraw, not because she doesn't want love, but because she doesn't feel worthy of it in that moment. She's grieving the parts of herself she had to let go of, and hoping you still love what's left. Even in relationships, comparison plays a role. She may wonder if you still see her the way you used to, or if your ex has had something she doesn't. She might never ask, but she's thought it. She's measured herself in silence against standards no one told her she had to meet. That's why the small things matter. The moments where you reassure her without her asking, the way you make her feel chosen again and again. Because deep down, every woman wants to feel like she's enough. Not compared, not ranked, not tolerated, but deeply enough. There is a silent pressure many women carry, and it's the expectation to be everything at once. She's supposed to be soft yet strong, nurturing yet independent, beautiful yet humble, ambitious yet submissive. She's expected to be a queen in public, a freak in private, a caregiver, a career woman, a friend, a therapist, a mind reader. These roles aren't spoken out loud, but they're felt. She feels them every time someone comments on how tired she looks, but still expects her to smile. She feels it when she's criticized for putting herself first, or shamed for wanting rest instead of constantly giving. This pressure to juggle it all without complaint weighs on her, and most of the time she does it without anyone noticing. That's because women are taught early how to wear the mask, how to hold the world together with one hand while wiping her own tears with the other. This isn't about weakness. In fact, her strength is the very reason no one stops to ask if she's okay, because she's the one people lean on. She's the emotional anchor in her family, in her relationship, in her community. She remembers birthdays, schedules appointments, manages emotions, and holds space for everyone else. But who holds space for her? Who checks in on the woman who checks on everyone else? That question echoes in her soul, especially during moments when she's burning out but still pushing through. not because she wants to, but because she doesn't believe she has a choice. If she drops one ball, everything might fall. So she keeps going. And in the process, she starts to lose touch with herself. A woman in this state can begin to feel invisible, not because she's literally unseen, but because the real her, her desires, her dreams, her tiredness, get buried under all the roles she's trying to fulfill. She might smile and say, "I'm fine," but deep down she's wondering when someone will notice that she's not. That she's trying to be the glue for everything while slowly falling apart inside. The worst part is that when she finally breaks down or sets a boundary, she's often labeled as difficult or emotional, as if her breakdown wasn't the result of years of being too strong for too long. She also feels the weight of perfection in relationships. She wants to be the woman who inspires you, turns you on, comforts you, supports you, and makes you proud. And if she falls short in even one of those areas, she begins to question her worth. Not because you said anything, but because the world has conditioned her to believe that love is earned through performance. So when she feels like she's not doing enough, she spirals. That's when insecurity starts creeping in, even if she looks confident on the outside. The truth is, behind every confident woman is a list of things she wishes she could let go of. The pressure to have a flat stomach, to be emotionally stable 24/7, to never say the wrong thing, to never let anyone down. What she wants more than anything is the freedom to just be. To be human, flawed, tired, silly, scared, and still be loved in all of it. She wants to know that she doesn't have to perform for love, that she doesn't have to earn rest, that her softness is not a liability but a gift. When a man understands that, when he creates a space where she doesn't have to be everything, she begins to exhale. Not because her responsibilities disappear, but because she finally feels like she doesn't have to carry them alone. In that space, her femininity flourishes, not as a performance, but as a truth she can finally relax into. So if you truly want to love her, don't just admire her strength, understand the weight she carries beneath it. Give her the kind of presence that says, "You don't have to be everything with me. You just have to be you." Because when a woman feels safe enough to take off the mask, to rest her heart, to simply breathe beside a man who sees her fully, that's when she becomes her most radiant, most powerful, most alive self. And in that space, real connection begins.